What if the truth you seek is not new? What if it has been echoing for millennia, beneath language, beneath logic, waiting in silence for you to become still enough to hear it? Not a teaching to be studied, but a memory to be reawakened. Not a story to entertain you, but a signal sent from before the rise of time, destined to reach only those who are ready. And now here you are. You didn't stumble across this message. You were summoned. Something ancient inside you is beginning to stir. The sound you're hearing is not in the words. It's in the space between them. It's the call of something older than civilization, older than scripture, older even than the stars. It is the code. And it waited for you. 36,000 years ago, before Babylon, before Egypt, before even the idea of linear time, a being of pure consciousness walked this earth. Thoth, not just a god, not just a scribe, but a living architect of frequency, a master of the laws that bind spirit to matter. He did not write history. He encoded it into light, into vibration, into the indestructible geometry of the emerald tablet, not carved, not written, imprinted, like a song that sings in silence, like a thought that shapes the cosmos. This was not a message meant for the masses. It was a seed planted in eternity, hidden in plain sight, waiting until the moment the soil of your soul was ready to receive it. And if these words are reaching you now, it means that moment has come. But let this be clear, this is not a course, not a lecture, not information for your mind to memorize. This is a reactivation of what you already carry, of what you've forgotten, because beneath every distraction, every fear, every false identity, there is something untouched in you, a field that remembers, a presence that was never born and will never die. And the emerald tablet wasn't meant to explain it. It was meant to awaken it. This journey will not take you forward. It will take you inward, past the noise, past the beliefs, into the place where vibration begins and form obeys. So I invite you now, not to learn, but to remember. Not to study, but to realign, because you are not a student of this wisdom. You are its embodiment. And now the code is calling you home. Right now, close your eyes. Place your hand gently on your heart. Breathe in slowly and say silently to yourself, I am remembering. Feel the vibration of that phrase, not as words, but as a signal. Let it echo through your breath, through your body, through your soul. Do this for 1 minute every morning for the next 7 days. Not to achieve anything, but to remember who you are. Lesson 1, the void before creation, how everything emerged from silence. Before the stars sang, before the sky stretched, before even the whisper of vibration could ripple through the cosmos, there was a silence. But this silence was not absence. It was not darkness, for darkness is still something. It was not waiting, for that would require time. It was not stillness, because even stillness has form. No, this silence was the unformed, the original nothing. Not a space waiting to be filled, but a presence that didn't yet know itself as presence. The emerald tablet begins not with creation, but with that. A silence beyond the reach of language, a womb that held everything and nothing all at once, and from that unknowable void, something moved. But it was not a sound, not a flash of light, not a divine command thundered through celestial realms. It was a thought, the first thought, a vibration so pure, so intentional, that it birthed the entire structure of what we now call reality. But understand this, it was not a thought as you know it, not the fleeting chatter that dances across your waking mind. This was a thought, with no words, no image, no ego. It was direction, will, a singular impulse to become. And in its becoming, time ignited. Vibration began, and the great spiral of creation unfolded layer upon layer from that one pulse of awareness. You may believe the universe began with a bang, a fiery explosion in the abyss. But Thoth's truth is older than science, deeper than metaphor. The universe began in stillness. In that momentless moment when non-being chose to remember itself. And in that remembrance, it began to pulse. And the pulse became frequency. And the frequency became light. And the light wove itself into form. This is the pattern of all things. It's not just the origin of the universe, it's the origin of you. Every idea that has ever bloomed in your mind, every emotion that has surged through your chest, every word you've ever spoken, they all follow this same divine rhythm. First, silence. Then, intention. Then, vibration. Then, manifestation. You were born of that same sequence. And even now your life continues to echo it. But somewhere along the spiral, humanity forgot. We traded silence for noise, stillness for stimulation, intention for reaction. We became lost in the forms, believing they were the beginning when in truth they are only echoes. What you see around you, the events, the structures, the relationships, are not the cause. They are the consequence. The real cause lies in the invisible, in the thought before the thought, in the field of vibration that exists beneath all matter. The Emerald Tablet teaches that all things arise from one, a unified source, unknowable and eternal, that reveals itself through patterns, through rhythm, through vibration. This is not philosophy, this is physics of the soul. Before there was you, there was your vibration. Before your name, your body, your memories, there was a pulse of frequency that said, I will take form. And so you did. But now the question returns. Have you forgotten that first pulse? Have you become so consumed by the effects, by the noise, the obligations, the spinning of days, that you no longer remember how to return to that silence? Because in that silence is the true point of power. That's where all transformation begins. That's where the blueprint of your life lives, not in your plans or your past, but in the vibrational field that you carry moment to moment. What you experience is not dictated by fate or luck. It is shaped by what you are vibrating. And what you are vibrating is shaped by whether or not you've returned to the void within. That's what Thoth knew. That's why he encoded the pattern of creation again and again in symbol and geometry. Not to teach you something new, but to remind you of something eternal. That you are not separate from source, that you are not bound by circumstance, that you have the power to shift reality, but only when you shift your vibration. And to shift your vibration, you must return to origin, not to your childhood, not to your ancestry, but to the silence within you. The place where the first thought still echoes, waiting to be felt, waiting to be chosen. So what is the void really? It is not a threat. It is not something to avoid. It is the source of all your becoming. The void is the pause between breaths, the stillness between heartbeats, the quiet just before the wave breaks. It is the space where transformation is not only possible, it is inevitable. Because when you step into the void with awareness, you step into the pure potential of all things. There, nothing is fixed, nothing is bound, nothing is labeled. Everything is vibration, and vibration can be tuned. Imagine for a moment that you could touch this silence, that you could descend beneath the noise of your mind, beneath the hum of your body, beneath even your desires, that you could sit at the center of your own being and hear. Not words, not instructions, but a pulse, a frequency that has always been there, a rhythm that was never taught to you because it is you. This is not imagination, this is reality. Your reality. Because no matter how far you drift from the silence, it remains. Patient, infinite, calling you back not to retreat from life, but to re-enter it from a place of power. When you live from the void, you don't run from form. You create it. You shape it with intention. You walk the world not as a passenger, but as a co-architect. You become not a reflection of circumstance, but a mirror of source. And in this, remembering something awakens, something deep, ancient, luminous, the seed of divine presence that has been waiting, lifetimes perhaps, for you to come home, because the silence is not empty. It is full of codes, full of messages, full of yourself. The self that existed before the world told you who to be. The self that vibrated in alignment with the all. The self that Thoth spoke of, not as an idea, but as a living reality that pulses beneath every moment. And so, I ask you now, can you return? Can you let go of the need to know, to name, to narrate, and instead descend into the place where knowing is replaced by being, where words fall away, and only presence remains? Because that's where your power lives, not in the plans you've made, not in the knowledge you've gathered, but in the space before the next thought. That sacred pause where your true frequency waits, untouched, unformed, divine. Return there. Tonight, or at sunrise, find a quiet place where no one will disturb you. Sit or lie down in complete stillness. Close your eyes. Bring your attention to the moment just after your exhale, the pause before you breathe in again. Now stay there. Let your awareness rest in that pause. That is the doorway. That is the void. Stay in that space for 5 minutes. Don't think. Don't analyze. Just feel. Feel the silence. Feel the stillness. Feel what begins to rise from within. You. Repeat this ritual each day for the next 7 days. Not to escape life, but to meet it again from the place where all things are born. Because once you remember how to return to the void, you remember how to shape the world. Lesson 2, the vibrational blueprint. Reality is not solid. Look around you. The walls, the objects, the people, the sky above, the ground beneath. Everything feels firm, defined, stable. The mind tells you this is reality, solid, unchangeable, physical. But what if it isn't? What if solidity is the final illusion, or the echo of something much more fluid, much more alive? The emerald tablet speaks in symbols, but its meaning is vibrational. All is frequency, all is movement, all is mind. And once you understand this, not as theory, but as embodiment, reality begins to melt in your hands. You see, nothing you see is truly still. Not the stones, not the trees, not even your own bones. Everything is in motion, vibrating at frequencies so rapid or so slow that your senses can't detect them. What you call matter is simply vibration that has slowed down. What you call spirit is vibration that has sped up. And what stands between them is you. You are the translator, the interpreter, the bridge. Your perception determines what you see. Your frequency determines what you call real. Thoth did not write the Emerald Tablet to describe a world. He encoded a model, a vibrational blueprint of reality itself. Not as it appears, but as it is. And at the core of that blueprint is this truth. Vibration is the architect of form. Nothing exists outside of it. Every color you see is a frequency. Every sound you hear is a wave. Every thought you think is an invisible ripple through space. You don't live in a world made of objects. You live in a field of oscillating energy. And your body, your emotions, your beliefs, they are all tuning, forks shaping how that energy behaves around you. This is not poetic mysticism. This is energetic law. And that law has always been simple. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Your inner vibration speaks more loudly to the universe than any words ever could. Every thought you sustain sends a signal. Every emotion you feed radiates into your field. Every belief you repeat writes a new code into the hologram of your life. Most people try to change the outer world, but Thoth knew the secret. The outer is only ever a reflection of the inner. The true blueprint is not out there. It is within your frequency. So ask yourself, what are you radiating? Not what do you wish, not what do you plan, but what does your energy say in the silence between your words? If your life feels heavy, scattered, closed, it's not a punishment, it's precision. You are simply seeing what you're vibrating. And that means the doorway to transformation is not through effort, but through alignment. Because the moment you shift your vibration, reality rearranges to match you. It has no choice. Reality is not fixed. It is flexible. It is soft clay in the hands of frequency. When you remember this, you stop fighting, you stop chasing, you stop blaming, and instead you begin to tune. Not like someone forcing a result, but like someone shaping sound, light, and form from within the silent core of being. The Emerald Tablet whispers of this when it says, all is mind. Not the personal mind, but the cosmic one. The one mind of which yours is an extension. Everything in existence is the dream of that mind. Everything is made of thought, not as metaphor, as matter. Your body is a thought, slowed into form. Your home, your work, your relationships, they are reflections of the vibration you carry at your center. To change them, you don't need to act harder. You need to vibrate clearer. This is the hidden key. Not control, but coherence. Coherence is when your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and your presence align into one pure frequency. It is the opposite of fragmentation. It is harmony made visible, and when you enter coherence, the universe responds instantly. Doors open without force. Opportunities appear without effort. Not because you manipulated the world, but because you synchronized with the blueprint beneath it. But coherence requires one thing above all else: honesty. You must become honest about what you are really vibrating. Not what you say, not what you post, what you feel, what you believe, what you expect in your bones when no one is watching, because that is what the universe is responding to. Not your words, but your wavelength. If you say, I trust, but vibrate with fear, the blueprint will show you fear. If you say, I'm whole, but carry self-judgment, the blueprint will reflect fragmentation. This isn't punishment. It is pure cause and effect. The mirror doesn't lie, it simply echoes. But this is also your liberation, because the moment you shift your internal frequency, reality must reconfigure. That is the law. You don't need to wait. You don't need to beg. You only need to tune. So how do you tune? Not by forcing emotion, not by pretending joy, but by returning to the still center and choosing again, choosing the thought that feels most true, choosing the emotion that aligns with the version of you that already is, choosing the breath, the word, the action that harmonizes with your original vibration, not your wounded one. Reality is listening to your vibration. Every second, every moment, and it is arranging itself with exact mathematical elegance to reflect you. So if you want to change your life, change your frequency. And if you want to change your frequency, change your presence, because presence is the most powerful transmitter in the universe. When you become fully present, not divided by thought, not hijacked by the past, not worried by the future, you become coherent. And when you become coherent, you become magnetic, not to what you want, but to what you are. And that, according to Thoth, is how reality truly works. The mirror, walk for the next 24 hours, live as if reality is a perfect mirror. Each time you encounter a difficult situation, ask not, "Why is this happening to me?" but, "What is this showing me about my current vibration?" When a door closes, don't force it. Feel the frequency that created it. When something beautiful appears, don't dismiss it. Honor the energy that made it possible. At the end of the day, journal your reflections. Don't judge what you find, simply observe. Witness the correspondence between your inner state and your outer world. Because when you begin to see reality as vibration made visible, you begin to remember how to shape it. Lesson 3, the language of light. Why the emerald tablet is not meant to be. Read, you were taught to read words, to sound them out, interpret their meaning, string them into sentences, and search for truth between the lines. But the emerald tablet was never meant to be read like that. It is not a book. It is not even a message in the way your mind understands messages. It is a transmission, a living field, a sequence of frequencies crystallized into geometry. When you stare at its symbols with the eyes of analysis, nothing happens. But when you approach it in stillness, when your presence becomes receptive, something begins to stir. Not in the page, but in you, because the emerald tablet does not speak in language. It speaks in light. Long before alphabets, long before ink, long before mouths began to shape sound into syllables, there was light. And light was the first language, not because it spoke, but because it revealed. It illuminated what was hidden. It cast structure onto the formless. The ancients, those who lived before the forgetting, knew this. They didn't just look at light. They listened to it. They aligned with it. They built temples with it, healed with it, communed with it. They understood that light is not just something we see. It is something that sees us. And the emerald tablet was born from this science. Thoth, scribe of the gods, architect of vibration, did not carve his wisdom in stone. He imprinted it into a material beyond earthly composition. The tablet is not merely indestructible in matter, it is indestructible in energy. No fire, no flood, no war could erase it, because its message is not held in the material. It is held in the field, and that field does not need to be understood. It needs to be felt. You are surrounded by symbols every day, logos, words, images, but most of them speak only to the mind. The tablet is different. It bypasses the mental filters. It does not ask you to agree. It does not seek your analysis. It waits for your resonance. Because when your frequency aligns, something activates, a dormant memory, a recognition, a presence so ancient that it feels both unfamiliar and entirely your own. You don't read the emerald tablet with your eyes. You remember it with your soul. And when that remembering begins, the intellect grows quiet. Something deeper takes over. You no longer seek to understand the lines. You begin to embody them. They pulse through you, not as information, but as instruction. Your posture changes, your breath slows, your thoughts soften, your emotions lift. The symbols act like tuning forks, recalibrating your field without permission, without effort, without noise, because they were never written for your eyes. They were written for your light body. This is the secret most scholars never grasp. They translate the words, they study the origins, they debate the interpretations, but they miss the one truth that unlocks everything. The tablet is not a text. It is a technology, a vibrational mechanism encoded in form. Each line, each shape, each angle carries embedded information, just not for the mind, for the spirit, for the frequency field that surrounds and animates your physical form. To access it, you don't need to be a scholar, you need to be present. In the old initiatory schools, students were not given sacred texts to memorize. They were asked to sit in silence with the symbol, to contemplate it without seeking, to let it work on them, to receive it like sunlight. No trying, no grasping, just being. Because the tablet does not open through thought, it opens through coherence, through surrender, through reverent silence, through the energy of the one who sees it with the eyes of the soul. Thoth knew that true wisdom does not come in the form of facts. It comes as frequency, and that frequency cannot be stored in books. It must be stored in symbols, symbols that vibrate, activate, reconfigure, symbols that contain multi-dimensional layers of meaning stacked within geometry, sound, light, and intention. The tablet is composed of such symbols, some of them ancient beyond time, some not of this world at all. They do not say something. They do something, they shift your state, they awaken codes, as they make you remember what was never taught. Have you ever stared at a symbol and felt chills, a stirring, a sudden quietness? That is resonance. That is the light language speaking. Not in grammar, but in energy. And the Emerald Tablet is one of the most powerful carriers of this language ever created. It does not communicate through your ears. It communicates through your nervous system, your breath, your intuitive field. When your mind stills, it begins to vibrate within you, lighting up pathways that have been dormant for lifetimes. So what is this language of light? It is the original pattern of creation. It existed before sound, before time, before the separation between self and other. It is the pure intention of consciousness made visible, not in words, but in sacred geometry, in color, in form, in harmonic resonance. This language is not learned. It is recognized, because at your core, you already speak it. Your cells, your breath, your energy centers, they are all fluent in it. They are just waiting for you to remember. The Emerald Tablet speaks to that part of you. Not the thinker, not the skeptic, but the knower, the watcher, the silent one within. That part of you that has no age, no story, no doubt. That part of you that never forgot. And here's the key: when you sit with the tablet, not to read it, but to feel it, your field begins to align with the frequencies embedded in it. These frequencies are not random, they are precise. They are mathematical harmonics that awaken specific aspects of consciousness: clarity, stillness, expansion, remembrance, activation. You may feel warmth, a pulse in the heart, a tingling in the hands, a deep peace, or simply a quiet knowing that something inside you has shifted, even if you can't name what. This is the language of light at work. Not loud, not dramatic, but utterly transformative. And yet, the tablet does not force itself. It waits, it respects readiness, it remains closed to those who seek with eyes of ambition or intellect, not as punishment, but as protection, because without the right frequency, the tablet cannot be read. It can only be misused, turned into dogma, stripped of its vibrational potency. That is why it remained hidden for so long. Not to keep you from it, but to prepare you for it. And now, if you are here, if you've heard its call, if your heart is stirring, it means your frequency is aligning. The tablet is not awakening on the page. It is awakening in you. So I ask you not to analyze, not to decode, but to open, to listen without ears, to see without eyes, because when you meet the tablet in presence without defense, something magnificent occurs. You don't just understand the message, you become it. Line of light, choose a single line from the emerald tablet, just one. Any that calls to you, sit in silence with it. Read it aloud, slowly. Then again. Then once more, even slower. Now close your eyes. Breathe with it. Not to understand it, but to let it move in you. Let the sound echo in your bones. Let the space between words reveal something deeper. Do this every morning for the next 7 days. And watch, not with your eyes, but with your energy, what begins to shift, because the tablet is not read, it is received. Lesson 4, the fire of alchemy, separating the subtle from the dense. There is a line in the emerald tablet so brief it can be overlooked, yet it holds within it the essence of all true transformation. It reads, "Separate the earth from the fire, the subtle from the dense, with great diligence," is not metaphor, it is not poetry. It is the formula for internal alchemy, the hidden process by which your spirit reclaims itself from the weight of form. It is the path of purification, not through denial or escape, but through clarity, through fire. Not fire that burns the skin, but fire that burns away illusion. To walk this path, you must understand, density is not bad, the body is not evil, emotion is not weakness. But when the dense begins to rule the subtle, the soul forgets. And when forgetting becomes identity, you are no longer living. You are reacting, repeating, recycling the same vibrations, the same patterns, the same pain, dressed in different faces. You are not here to abandon the dense. You are here to refine it, to raise it, to separate it from what is eternal so that it may become sacred. This is the sacred fire. It is not found in flames. It is found in presence, in intention, in the willingness to sit with yourself and see what is true, to feel the weight you carry, not to avoid it, but to understand it. This fire does not destroy, it reveals. It does not punish, it clarifies. It is the fire of awareness, and it burns only what you are no longer meant to carry. The roles, the masks, the unprocessed grief, the stories passed down from others that never belonged to you. This fire knows how to distinguish the gold from the clay, but the separation must be done with great diligence, because density is sticky. The mind clings to old beliefs, the heart clings to old wounds, the body clings to comfort. And the ego fears the unknown so deeply that it would rather stay in pain than step into the light. That is why you must not rush. Alchemy is not a performance. It is a precision, a sacred observation of what no longer resonates with your true vibration. And each time you see something dense, an attachment, a habit, a fear, you don't push it away. You bring it to the fire. You look at it. You ask, is this me or is this what I've been carrying? The fire will show you, and slowly, silently, the subtle begins to rise. The subtle is not a place. It is a state. It is the feeling of spaciousness after releasing a story that no longer defines you. It is the clarity after choosing presence over reactivity. It is the peace that arises when you do not argue with what is, but allow truth to simply be. The subtle is your natural state beneath all distortion. It doesn't need to be created. It only needs to be uncovered. And that uncovering requires the courage to stop running. You must sit still long enough to see where your energy is tangled, where your thoughts race out of habit, where your desires are shaped by emptiness. Most people live on top of a pile of old frequencies, memories not fully digested, traumas stored in the muscles, grief held in the lungs, shame buried in silence. They wonder why they feel heavy, scattered, afraid. But the answer isn't outside. It's in the density they've never burned. Thoth knew this. That's why he encoded this step with clarity. Separate the subtle from the dense. Not once, not dramatically, but continually, gently, with love, with diligence. This is not a battle. This is an unveiling. You are not fighting yourself. You are freeing yourself. The dense is not your enemy. It is simply the unrefined. And when you meet it with fire, not anger, but conscious awareness, it transforms. So how do you begin? By becoming a sacred observer of your inner reactions. Every moment of frustration, every instant of fear, every time you feel yourself tighten, these are invitations. Do not turn away. Do not numb them. Stay. Breathe. Look closer. Ask yourself, is this a reaction from truth or from density? And when the answer rises, don't judge it. Just breathe into it. Name it. Acknowledge it. That is the first separation. Then bring it into the flame. And what is the flame? It is your breath, your stillness, your conscious choice to feel without escaping. Each time you do this, you burn a little more of what isn't you, and you rise, subtle, lighter, clearer. The heaviness softens, the fog begins to lift, and something sacred returns, your essence, your soul's original frequency. This process is not glamorous. It is intimate. It happens in the quiet hours, in the moments no one sees, when you choose not to react, when you forgive before the apology, when you let go without closure. These are the fires of the initiate. This is the alchemy of the awakened, and in this fire the separation becomes transformation. The body becomes a temple, the mind becomes a servant, the heart becomes a compass, and your vibration begins to stabilize, not in the scattered noise of the world, but in the ancient rhythm of your soul. This is the true meaning of refinement. Not to change who you are, but to remember what you've always been beneath the weight of forgetting. So return to the tablet. Read that line again. Separate the subtle from the dense with great diligence. Now feel it. Let it settle in your field. It is not a command. It is a gift, a permission to rise. The alchemist's breath. Find a quiet place where you can be undisturbed. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Begin to breathe slowly and deeply. With each inhale, feel light entering your body. With each exhale, release anything that feels heavy. Now bring to mind something dense, an emotion, a habit, a thought that weighs on you. See it. Name it. Don't fight it, just hold it in your awareness. With your next inhale, imagine a golden fire rising from your core. Let that fire surround the density. Exhale slowly. Feel the fire transform what it touches. Do this for 5 minutes, then sit in silence. Feel the space that has opened. You are not here to destroy your density. You are here to burn away everything that hides your light. Lesson 5, the temple of flesh. Your body as the vessel for divine intelligence. You were not born into your body by accident. You did not fall into it as punishment. You did not descend into flesh because spirit failed. Your body is not the enemy. It is not a cage, it is a temple. And like every sacred temple, it is both architecture and altar, constructed with exquisite intelligence to house something vast, eternal, and luminous. That something is you, but not the you others. See? Not the name, the story, the role. The deeper you, the one who remembers the stars, the one who breathes the breath of the divine. The emerald tablet. Whispers of this secret not in direct words, but in what it implies. That vibration does not stop at the soul. It moves through the body. That spirit does not float above. It lives within form. That the same intelligence that crafted galaxies also shaped your spine, your cells, your breath. You are not wearing a body. You are your body, as much as you are the consciousness animating it. The body is the bridge, and if you learn to walk across it, if you honor it as the sacred vessel that it is, then your life no longer becomes a search for the divine. It becomes a living embodiment of it. But to do that, you must unlearn the lies, because the world has taught you otherwise. It told you to mistrust your flesh, to see it as temptation or burden or obstacle. It told you that enlightenment meant leaving the body, transcending it, forgetting its needs. And in doing so, it severed the connection between heaven and earth, between energy and matter, between soul and skin. But Thoth knew the truth. He did not build altars in the sky, he built them on earth. He did not rise away from form. He brought form into alignment with the formless. This is the wisdom encoded in his greatest work, not just the tablet, but the Great Pyramid itself. A structure so precise in its angles, so harmonious in its proportions, that it becomes not just a building, but a frequency, a living map of the energy body, a geometric mirror of the human form, designed not to entomb the dead, but to awaken the living. Your body is built in the same way. Your spine is a column of light. Your organs are vibrational chambers. Your breath is a sacred rhythm. Your senses are antennae for frequencies beyond the visible. The same laws that govern stars pulse through your veins. You are a field of energy in motion, a temple constructed not of stone, but of bone, of water, of fire, of breath, and every sensation Every signal, every moment of pain or pleasure is a message from that temple. The problem is not the body. The problem is when the temple is forgotten, when its sacredness is neglected, its signals ignored, its intelligence drowned out by distraction. You do not lose your spiritual power because you have a body. You lose it when you stop listening to that body, when you treat it like a machine, when you judge its weight, its hunger, its stillness, its rhythms, when you separate yourself from it as if it were something to be overcome. But the true initiate does not escape the body. They enter it fully, they return to it, not as limitation but as gateway. They learn its language, they kneel in reverence at its altar. They understand that spirit is not only above but within, that God is not only in the sky but in the cells. That vibration is not only cosmic, it is cellular, it is sensual. It is intimate. Your body is the field through which vibration expresses itself into the material world. That means your thoughts are not enough. Your intentions are not enough. If your body is not aligned, if your breath is chaotic, if your nervous system is flooded, your frequency cannot stabilize. That's why you can know the right thing and still not do it. That's why you can feel the truth and still not embody it. The soul may be willing, but the body must be prepared to carry that light. This is the real spiritual work, not ascending away but descending into, anchoring the subtle into the dense, not as resistance, not as punishment, but as purpose. The body is your temple. And like all temples, it must be cleansed, not with shame, not with discipline for its own sake, but with love, with intention, with presence. When you bring light into your body, not just as an idea, but as a lived, physical vibration, your temple activates. Your energy rises, your thoughts begin to match your movement, your emotions flow instead of stagnate, your inner fire awakens, and suddenly your actions are not efforts, they are expressions. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, even sit differently, because the divine is now embodied. The Emerald Tablet never told you to reject matter. It told you to master it, to align it, to vibrate through it, because matter is not separate from mind. It is mind, slowed down, and so the real temple is not out there. It is not hidden in Egypt or lost in stone. It is here. It is your chest when you breathe with intention. It is your hands when you offer without ego. It is your eyes when you see without judgment. This body is the altar, and the offering it wants is your presence. The sacred body. Find a quiet place where you can lie down or sit with your spine upright. Close your eyes and bring your attention inward. Begin at your feet. Simply feel them. No need to change anything. Just notice. Then move your awareness slowly up through your legs, your hips, your abdomen, your chest, your shoulders, arms, hands, neck, and finally your face. At each point, pause, breathe, ask silently, what is held here? Is there tension, warmth, emotion, numbness? Stay with it. Witness without judgment. Now, as you reach your heart, place a hand there. Whisper within yourself, "This is my temple. I return to it with reverence." Do this practice daily, even for just 5 minutes. It is not a ritual of control, it is a remembering. The body is not what you escape to reach the divine. It is what you inhabit to express it. Lesson 6. The Law of the Mirror. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Look around you. Not with your eyes, but with your awareness. every moment, every pattern, every circumstance in your life. What if it wasn't random? What if nothing is out of place? What if every single detail is showing you something about you? The Emerald Tablet encoded a truth so radical, so piercing, that few dare to live by it. Not because it is difficult, but because it is exact. The truth is this: reality is a mirror, a vibrational mirror, and what it reflects back to you is not what you want, but what you are. You may desire peace, but if your field vibrates with anxiety, the world will mirror unrest. You may ask for love, but if your energy hums with abandonment, your encounters will echo that emptiness. You may long for purpose, but if your inner frequency is coated in confusion, clarity will always seem out of reach. The universe is not withholding from you. It is responding to you, not to your voice, but to your vibration. This is not punishment. This is precision. Vibration is not emotional mood. It is your dominant frequency. It is the field created by your beliefs, your habits of thought, your energetic tone. Most people live unconsciously within this field. They affirm their desires with words, but contradict them with unexamined patterns. They visualize abundance while vibrating scarcity. They speak of self-worth while carrying shame in the breath. And then they wonder why nothing changes, but Thoth left no room for confusion. As above, so below. As within, so without. It is not a philosophy, it is a law. What you see in your world is your reflection. It is your energetic echo bouncing off the mirror of form, and this mirror does not lie. It does not edit. It does not distort. It simply reflects. So when you truly understand this law, something fundamental shifts. You stop blaming, you stop waiting, you stop chasing, and you begin tuning. Because if reality reflects what you are, then to change reality, you must change. The you that you are vibrating from. That change does not begin on the outside. It doesn't begin with a new job, a new place, a new partner, or a new ritual. It begins in the frequency you carry when no one is watching, the tone of your inner silence, the atmosphere of your unspoken thoughts, the heaviness or lightness of your breath as you go about your day. You do not shift your life by force. You shift it by resonance. This is the power of the law of the mirror. It reclaims your role as creator, not of reality itself, but of the field you stand in. And that field determines what comes to you. Imagine walking into a room of tuning forks. Your field, your body, your thoughts, they are one fork. The room is the others. Whatever tone you emit is the tone that will be echoed back. If you resonate in fear, the world hums with uncertainty. If you resonate in wholeness, the world brings clarity. The world does not have a will against you. It is just waiting to reflect the truth of your vibration. But here's the mystery. This reflection is not just external. You don't just attract circumstances, you interpret them according to your field. The same event, rejection, silence, challenge, can be seen as a threat or as an invitation. What determines your response is not the event itself, but the mirror within you. The internal lens through which you interpret reality. Change that lens, and the entire meaning of your life begins to shift. This is not about becoming positive, it is about becoming aligned. True alignment is not an emotion, it is a coherence between your intention and your vibration. It is when what you say, what you feel, and what you believe finally begin to hum at the same pitch. That's when the mirror shifts. Not because reality changed, but because you did. Let's say you feel stuck. You try to move forward, but nothing happens. The world gives you more silence, more closed doors, more resistance. You tell yourself you want expansion, you meditate on growth, but if your inner field vibrates fear of failure or deep self-doubt, the mirror will not reflect your words, it will reflect your field. And the moment you shift your energy by meeting that fear, by releasing the shame, by choosing trust over control, the external begins to rearrange. A door opens, a message arrives, a pattern dissolves, not magically, energetically. That's how precise the mirror is. It doesn't respond to what you think you're projecting. It responds to what you're actually transmitting. So how do you begin shifting the mirror? Not by fixing the reflection. You don't change your face by smudging the glass. You change it by adjusting the source. You go inward. You observe your reactions. You track your emotional triggers. You pay attention to the people and situations that repeat. And instead of asking, "Why does this keep happening to me?" you ask, "What is this showing me about me?" This question changes everything. It makes reality your teacher, not your prison. It turns your triggers into portals. It reveals your blind spots, your unmet wounds, your unspoken desires. And once seen, these patterns begin to dissolve because what is observed in truth cannot remain unconscious. And this is the true gift of the mirror. It doesn't just reflect who you are. It invites you to become who you're meant to be. Because each reflection is a clue, each repeated emotion, each stuck cycle, each difficult relationship, it is the mirror holding up the part of you that is still vibrating in distortion. And that distortion is not something to be ashamed of. It is something to refine. You are not broken. You are just out of tune. And when you begin to tune yourself gently, patiently, honestly, the mirror begins to glow. Life starts to feel lighter, brighter. Not because the world has changed, but because your field has cleared. This is why Thoth taught that the world is mental, that all is frequency, that creation begins within, not as theory, but as practice, as daily embodied tuning. Reality, as feedback today, choose one moment of difficulty, something recent that felt like a setback, a disappointment, or a trigger. Close your eyes. Replay the moment in your mind. Now, instead of asking why it happened, ask, what belief was I holding at that moment? What emotion was dominant in my field? What truth about my vibration was this situation trying to show me? Don't try to fix it. Don't judge it. Just witness. Now for 60 seconds, breathe into the new vibration you wish to carry. Not as fantasy, but as frequency. Let your breath hum with that vibration. Let your body remember it. Let your field feel it. Then go about your day. Observe what begins to shift, not through control, but through coherence. Because when you change the way you vibrate, you change the world that reflects you. Lesson 7. The field of coherence. How to stabilize your energy in a chaotic world. The world feels louder than it ever has. Noise surrounds you, not only the noise of machines and screens, but the deeper noise of restless thoughts, scattered emotions, unresolved memories. There is a storm that moves invisibly beneath the surface of modern life, pulling your attention outward again and again, fragmenting your presence. You feel it when you scroll, when you speak without truly hearing yourself, when your breath races ahead of your awareness. And yet, even within this storm, there exists a deeper silence, a stillness untouched by the chaos, a frequency so steady, so refined, that no external noise can distort it. That frequency is coherence. Coherence is not the absence of difficulty. It is not passive peace or surface-level calm. Coherence is harmony. It is the inner resonance that occurs when every part of you, mind, breath, emotion, body, soul, aligns and begins to move as one, when there is no inner conflict, no hidden opposition between what you say and what you feel, between what you know and what you do. It is not perfection, it is congruence. And when your internal field enters this state, something miraculous happens. The world no longer determines your state, you determine how you meet the world. This is the hidden technology within Thoth's teachings encoded into the tablet, echoed in every sacred mystery school. Coherence is the power through which vibration becomes reality. When your frequency becomes stable, life begins to mirror it precisely. You are no longer a reaction to your environment. You become the tuning fork, the center of gravity, the place where divine order touches form. But coherence is not accidental. It is not something you stumble into, it must be cultivated. You cannot vibrate clarity while living in contradiction. You cannot manifest truth while speaking from fear. You cannot project peace while you are torn apart inside. Coherence begins the moment you stop scattering your energy, when you begin reclaiming your presence, moment by moment, choice by choice. Imagine that your being is a sacred instrument, a harp made of breath, awareness, memory, rhythm. When even one string is out of tune, the whole melody suffers. But when every string is tuned, when every layer of your being moves in unified resonance, you become music. You begin to emit something far more powerful than noise or words. You begin to radiate a stable frequency that changes the space around you without effort. This is not metaphor, this is energetic law. In the Hermetic tradition, a coherent field stabilizes everything it touches. When even one person lives in vibrational harmony, their presence calms the chaos around them. Others feel it without knowing why. They feel safe, they breathe deeper, their nervous system relaxes. Because coherence is contagious, it does not need to speak, it emits. And so the real spiritual path is not to escape the noise of the world, but to become so internally harmonious that you can carry peace into the noise. To be in the center of the storm and remain still, to be surrounded by fear and transmit love, not because you're suppressing, but because you're rooted. This is the deeper mastery, not withdrawal, but frequency stabilization. So what throws you out of coherence every time you override your inner rhythm to meet external demands, every time you say yes when your truth says no, every time you push when your soul asks for rest, every time you speak one thing and feel another, these moments break the field. They create dissonance, and over time, if left unaddressed, that dissonance becomes the baseline of your reality. You begin to live in distortion, not because the world is against you, but because your vibration is out of alignment. Coherence is not a performance. It is presence. It is not faked through mantras or masks. It arises when you begin to choose yourself consistently, humbly, honestly. It is the discipline of returning to your breath, returning to your intention, returning to the rhythm that is yours, not the one imposed by culture, expectation, or fear. And this return begins with one word: integrity. Your thoughts must match your feelings. Your feelings must match your speech. Your speech must match your action. When even one piece of this triad is out of sync, your frequency becomes unstable. And when your frequency becomes unstable, life reflects that instability. You may feel lost, stuck, confused, not because the path is unclear, but because your energy is broadcasting conflicting messages. You say you are ready for change, but your body radiates resistance. You say you want love, but your heart is closed. You pray for peace, but your nervous system pulses with fight or flight. To cultivate coherence is to create resonance between all levels of your being. When your inner world begins to agree with itself, the outer world stops resisting you. Life begins to open, not because you forced it, but because your vibration created space for it. Doors open, opportunities arrive, relationships shift, not as a miracle, but as a vibrational consequence. And here's the deeper beauty. Coherence is not reserved for the perfect, the enlightened, or the advanced. It is available to anyone who chooses honesty, anyone who is willing to observe their misalignment without shame, anyone who is willing to return again and again and again. The most powerful field is not the one that never falters, it is the one that continuously realigns. This is what Thoth taught, not the pursuit of perfection, but the cultivation of internal precision. He did not tell you to escape the body. He invited you to tune it, to stabilize your field so deeply that even in the presence of fear, you remain centered. Even in the face of chaos, you remain intact. This is the frequency of sovereignty, the vibration of spiritual maturity. And it begins with a single moment of coherence. You felt it before. Those brief moments when everything within you agrees. When your breath slows. When your heart feels open. When you speak from truth and the world responds in synchronicity. That is coherence. That is who you are, beneath the distortion. You don't need to find it. You need to return to it. And when you do, something profound shifts. You stop leaking energy, you stop spinning in mental loops, you stop over-explaining, overworking, over-worrying. You become still without being rigid, present without being heavy, soft without being weak. You walk differently, speak differently, breathe differently, because your entire field hums with alignment. This is what the Emerald Tablet models in its design: pure proportion, divine order, simplicity. Its message is not just in what it says, it's in what it is. It radiates coherence. And when you meet it in your own coherence, the message unlocks, not with effort, but with resonance. So the question is not how to control your world. The question is, can you become stable enough that the world begins to mirror you? Can you choose coherence not once but daily? The Coherence Alignment Protocol begin with 10 minutes of undisturbed time. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly and gently. Feel your heartbeat. Now visualize a triangle floating in front of your chest. Each corner represents one part of your inner system. Thought, what you believe. Emotion, what you feel. Action, what you do. Ask yourself, are these aligned today? Where is the distortion? Are you speaking one thing but feeling another? Acting from fear while pretending confidence? Once you see the misalignment, don't judge it. Breathe into it. Then speak a sentence that brings all 3 points into agreement. For example, I choose to trust, or I slow down and listen. Let the vibration of your voice carry coherence into your body. Now place your hand over your heart. Inhale to the count of 4. Exhale to the count of 6. Do this for 3 full cycles. With each breath, feel your field becoming clear, stable, resonant. This is coherence. This is clarity. This is your power. Return to it daily. Because when you live in coherence, you don't just survive the world, you begin to retune it. Lesson 8. Time doesn't move. You do. Time has always felt like a river, hasn't it? flowing steadily forward, carrying moments like driftwood, dragging you from one hour to the next, from past to future. You are told that time is linear, that it moves with or without you, and that you are at its mercy. But what if that isn't true? What if time doesn't move at all? What if the only thing that ever moves is you? This lesson changes everything. Not just the way you schedule your life, but the way you live it. The Emerald Tablet hinted at it long ago. Time is illusion, eternity is truth. And Thoth, the architect of spiritual science, encoded this secret into silence. He did not speak of clocks or calendars, because to the ancient ones, time was not a straight line, it was a field, a frequency, a dimension of perception that bends according to consciousness. In truth, time is not outside you. It is inside your awareness. It is shaped by your vibration, which means when your vibration shifts, your experience of time also shifts. You've felt this already, those moments of presence when time seems to slow, when one breath stretches into infinity, a sunset that seems to last forever, a heartbreak that feels like it rewrote hours, a meditation that lasted 10 minutes but somehow felt like an eternity. This isn't imagination. This is vibration reshaping perception. You don't travel through time, you travel across states of being, and the speed at which you move is the speed at which your consciousness expands or contracts. That's why days feel heavy when you're disconnected, and hours pass like seconds when you're aligned. Time doesn't hurry. You do. Time doesn't stretch. Your presence does, and when you realize that you are the axis, not a passenger, but the pivot around which all time unfolds, then something ancient awakens within you, a stillness, a command, a sacred pause that says, I am not late, I am not early, I am exactly where I must be. Because from the Hermetic perspective, all moments exist at once. Past, present, and future are not separated by distance. They are separated by frequency. Think of it like a radio. The song of your past is still playing. It's just on another station. So is the song of your future. And what you call now is simply the station your consciousness is currently tuned into. The dial is yours to move. When Thoth spoke of mastering reality, he did not mean controlling time, he meant transcending its illusion, living not by the push of hours, but by the pull of intuition. Letting your decisions rise from alignment, not urgency. Letting your actions match your vibration, not your schedule. Because the soul does not hurry. The soul arrives, and this is where most suffering begins, not in what's happening, but in how we perceive its timing. Why didn't it happen sooner? When will it come? How long will it last? These are time-based anxieties. They are questions that arise when the mind forgets that it is the one in motion, that healing is not late, that answers are not behind. That growth does not happen on clocks. It happens in readiness. So if you wish to move through time differently, don't force life to speed up. Tune your vibration to readiness. That is how the right time appears, not because the clock changed, but because you did. And here lies the most mystical secret. Time is magnetic. It bends toward attention. What you dwell on, you expand. What you resist, you stretch. What you love, you accelerate. That's why pain lingers. It's not that time slows, it's that your energy holds it longer. That's why joy feels brief, because presence passes too quickly in a distracted mind. But once you become aware of this magnetic quality, you stop chasing time. You start dancing with it. You begin to realize that you are not inside time, time is inside you. Every version of you, past, present, potential, is layered within this moment. And when you shift your vibration, you access a different version of yourself, and in doing so, a different timeline. This is how transformation happens, not through effort, through tuning. The future you seek already exists. Your task is to align with its frequency. When people speak of manifestation, they often misunderstand. They think they're creating a future. But nothing needs to be created. It's already there, like a room in a house you haven't entered yet. All you must do is change rooms. And that change happens not by willpower, but by vibration. When your energy becomes coherent, when your actions, emotions, and beliefs vibrate in union, the doorway opens. You walk into a timeline that matches your state. That is why some people change everything without changing anything. They wake up, shift their frequency, and the world shifts with them. Time bends, opportunities appear, synchronicities flood in. And others, stuck in old vibrations, watch as nothing changes, even with effort. Because it is not effort that moves you forward. It is coherence. This is the freedom Thoth guarded, this sacred key to navigating time as a conscious being. And once you remember, you begin to live very differently. You stop rushing. You stop regretting. You stop waiting. You no longer treat time as a master or a thief. You treat it as an extension of your field, something you can work with, shape, bend, pause, and now in this moment you are invited to try, to shift from being a servant of time to a steward of it, to stop measuring your worth by clocks, to stop dividing your life into deadlines, to stop fearing the future or dragging the past. This moment, right now, is the only real time there. And from this place of presence, you can move in any direction. The past is not gone. The future is not out of reach. You are the bridge. You are the flame at the center of the spiral. And when your presence becomes strong enough, time bends around you like gravity. Entering timelessness, find a quiet space. Sit upright, hands on your lap, eyes closed. Breathe deeply into your belly. Inhale for 4 seconds. Exhale for 6. Repeat for 1 minute, letting your breath slow everything down. Now silently speak this phrase. Time does not move. I do. Visualize yourself as completely still, like the center of a wheel. Around you, moments spin like spokes past future, potential. But you do not chase them. You simply feel them, waiting to be tuned. Now feel into your future self, the one who has already become who you long to be. What does their breath feel like, their posture, their thoughts? Sit in that vibration. Let your body remember. Let the future become present. Do this once a day, even just for 5 minutes. Because time is not your boundary, it is your mirror, and you are the one who decides how it reflects. Lesson 9, Immortal Consciousness, Becoming the Living Tablet. There is a truth more ancient than language, more enduring than stone, a truth that whispers beneath every heartbeat, beneath every death, beneath every birth. It is the truth that you cannot die, not because your body will last forever, not because time will spare you, but because you were never the body to begin with. You are the presence that watches. You are the awareness that remains. You are the I am that cannot be broken. And once you remember this, not as a theory, but as a living vibration, you become something holy. You become the living tablet. Immortality, as it was taught by Thoth, has nothing to do with escaping death. It is not about outrunning the end. It is about transcending the illusion of endings altogether. True immortality is vibrational integrity. It is the ability to remain intact no matter how the outer world shifts. Bodies come and go, names change, lifetimes dissolve. But there is something in you beyond form, beyond story, beyond time that never fractures, that never fades. That is your immortal self. This is what the Emerald Tablet was always pointing to, not a stone, but a state of being, not a relic, but a remembrance. The tablet is not outside of you. It is you when you live in wholeness, when your breath carries the light of knowing, when your voice becomes a mirror of truth, when your presence radiates the fire of the eternal. In that moment, you are not reading wisdom. You are being it. You are not quoting truth. You are embodying it. And here lies the greatest secret of Hermeticism. The soul does not awaken by avoiding the world. It awakens by moving through it, intact. The true mystic does not escape form. They illuminate it. They do not reject the body. They inhabit it with such depth, such presence, that even the bones begin to remember the divine spark that animates them. To become immortal is not to transcend humanity. It is to reveal divinity within humanity, and this revelation begins in a single sacred place. The moment you choose to remember, not as a mental act, but as a vibration, as a flame lit in your center that says, I am. No title, no role, no identity. Just, I am. It is the purest mantra, the original name, the frequency of eternity humming within your breath. When you speak it, not from thought, but from essence, you activate the flame. And that flame does not flicker in time. It burns through time. You've known this flame before. In moments of stillness, in deep grief that stripped you bare, in awe so vast it silenced you, in those rare, luminous seconds when the world disappeared and all that remained was the soft, silent witness inside. That is the immortal you, the you that never begins, the you that never ends. And now this flame asks to be lived, not just in silence, but in motion. Not just in meditation, but in conversation, in creation, in conflict, in beauty, in mess. To live immortality is to carry that flame into every room, every breath, every moment, and let it light the space around you. You are no longer reacting, you are radiating, you are not surviving this life, you are consecrating it. This is the highest alchemy. Not to change base metals into gold, but to change time-bound consciousness into eternal presence. This is what it means to become the living tablet. Your heart becomes the inscription. Your silence becomes the ink. Your breath becomes the rhythm. Your life becomes the scripture, and as you live from this remembrance, something extraordinary begins to happen. The illusion of death loses its grip, not because you deny endings, but because you see through them. What dies is always temporary. What remains is always true. Your job is not to fight death. Your task is to remember life so deeply that even death bows to it. This remembrance does not make you immune to pain. It makes you transparent to it. You still feel, you still bleed. But you do not break. You remain rooted in that central flame that cannot be extinguished. And the more you root into it, the more the outer world begins to shift. You stop fearing change. You stop grasping for control. You move with rhythm, not resistance. You begin to radiate something people cannot name but can always feel. A calm that doesn't waver, a fire that doesn't burn, a silence that speaks. That is the presence of the living tablet. And when you live this way, you do more than speak wisdom. You stabilize reality for others. You become a portal, a mirror, a reminder. Others touch your field and begin to remember themselves. Because energy never lies, and when your energy burns with eternal light, it ignites the light in those still sleeping. So now ask yourself, are you willing to live like you cannot be broken? Are you ready to speak from the I am instead of the I was or I should? Because the only thing standing between you and the living tablet is forgetting. The flame is already there. It just waits for your breath to awaken it. The flame of remembering each morning before speaking, before touching your phone, before engaging the world. Sit in silence. Close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart. Feel your chest rise. Feel your breath arrive. And whisper aloud, slowly, I am. I am. I am. Not with effort, not with repetition, but with presence. Let the words resonate not from your throat, but from your center. Now inhale slowly for 4 seconds. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Repeat for 3 full cycles. Visualize a golden flame in the center of your chest. With each breath, feel it growing. Not wildly, but steadily. Anchored, silent, eternal. This flame is not a symbol. It is your true self. Return to it. Live from it. Speak from it. Because the tablet is not in Egypt. It is not hidden in stone. It is written in your breath. And now it is awakening. The final portal, the return, is already happening. This is the end, and yet there was never truly a beginning. Because what you've been seeking through these lessons, what you thought was hidden in stone, locked in symbols, buried beneath history, it has always lived in you. The emerald tablet was never meant to be decoded by the mind. It was meant to awaken the soul, and now it has. The real tablet is not green and glowing beneath some ancient temple. It is etched in the stillness behind your thoughts, in the silence between your breaths, in the flame that flickers quietly behind your rib cage. The code has already begun to stir. Not because you chased it, not because you forced it, but because your frequency aligned. And when vibration aligns, doors open that were never closed. They were simply waiting for resonance. This is your return. Not to some distant heaven, but to the truth within. The codes do not awaken through intellect. They respond to presence. They echo through stillness. They sing in harmony with the soul. And now that you've remembered, even if only for a few moments, you are no longer the seeker. You are the spark. You are not becoming something new. You are remembering what you've always been. You were never lost, only asleep. And the awakening is not an explosion. It is a quiet unfolding, like petals opening to the sun, like the stars. Remembering how to shine. This is not a destination, it is a frequency, a way of being that hums with truth. So now, live it. Live the tablet through your breath, through your choices, through your stillness. Let your presence become a portal for others to remember. Let your silence speak. Let your coherence ripple outward. And when the world grows noisy again, because it will, return to these teachings. Not with the mind, but in silence. Revisit the practices.
Sit with the words. Breathe with the mantras. Let the flame you lit in the beginning grow steady, strong, eternal, and then share it.
Not as information, but as resonance. Share it in the way you speak, in the way you walk, in the energy you leave behind in every room. This knowledge is not yours to hold, it is yours to become. The emerald tablet is alive, and now so are you. Embody the frequency each time you feel scattered. Return to your breath. Whisper silently, I remember. Let it anchor you. Then act from that space. Speak from that knowing. Live as if the code is humming in your bones, because it is. And the return is no longer coming. It is already happening.